After the break, we're going to interview Eric Weihenmayer, who climbed the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. But he's gay. He's gay. Excuse me, he's blind. So we'll hear about that.
Okay. As we head to the break.
The funniest Twitter thread, or X thread, if that's the way you want to call it, is out there. And it is laugh your butt off funny. The Twitter thread is this: what is the funniest moment on live TV you've ever seen? And it's people from all over the place sharing hilarious clips of failures, of people laughing at news stories. And this clip is a great example of that. I'm just going to play it one more time, because how do you confuse the two words blind and gay?
After the break, we're going to interview Eric Weihenmayer,
Okay.
who climbed the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. But he's gay. He's gay. Excuse me.
Like the co-host.
So we'll hear about that.
Okay. As we head to the break.
The co-host of the speaker. Did you see his face? He goes, whoa. How did you get those two mistaken? It's not like they start with the same letter. His name was Eric Weihenmayer, something like that. So it doesn't sound like that bad word. So anyways, on the podcast, I'm going to be sharing a video as much as I can of these threads, because it is the funniest thing ever. By the way, if you're climbing Mount Everest, how can you do that while you're blind? You got a little stick, and you're looking out for rocks? No offense to the blind. I love the blind. I'm pro-blind. Sometimes I think I'm blind. My wife will say I'm blind sometimes. She doesn't actually. But lots of husbands are blind, so I'm pro-blind. How does a blind man climb Mount Everest? Anyway, this is a Minnesota Vikings podcast, so we're going to dive into the Minnesota Vikings right now. The latest rumors was that Justin Jefferson and the Minnesota Vikings were looking to part ways like the Red Sea. The Minnesota Vikings allegedly tried to trade up for Malik Neighbors at the number 5 overall pick so they could select him. And the Minnesota Vikings were trying, if they attempted and were successful in that trade, we're then going to trade Justin Jefferson to a team and replace him with Malik Neighbors. Now, a couple of different things. This was reported by Charlie Walters of the Pioneer Press, who has been on this thing all off-season. Even before the draft, he was like, oh, Vikings are going to trade Justin Jefferson. Blah, 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 blah. Then Mike Florio, who's nailed some things this offseason, like Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, came out and said similar things like, what are the Minnesota Vikings waiting for? He didn't cite any sources. He was just feeling the temperature in the room, if you want to call it like that. And now the voice of reason has come out because Kevin Seifert, he is a beat reporter for the Minnesota Vikings and works for ESPN. He said the rumor has been making the rounds, and it's admittedly juicy. But the Vikings did not try last month to trade up and draft wide receiver Malik Neighbors. Great player, but Vikings have a better one in Justin Jefferson. Still working to extend Jefferson and no interest in trading him. As I said earlier this week, those reports were idiotic. The Minnesota Vikings have zero interest. How many? Zero interest in trading Justin Jefferson right now at this point in the Minnesota Vikings competitive rebuild. You don't know what kind of receiver you're drafting, even with Malik Neighbors. I mean, look at the situation the Minnesota Vikings had back when they drafted Justin Jefferson. One slot ahead of him was Jalen Reagor, selected by the Philadelphia Eagles. Receivers in the draft, they're talented, but it's a crapshoot, just like every other position. So why would you trade Justin Jefferson when you just brought on a rookie quarterback for some unknown wide receiver coming out of this year's NFL draft. That would be the most fireable offense, even more fireable than trading for Herschel Walker in the Minnesota Vikings history. Because for multiple reasons. One, I already laid it out. You brought in a rookie quarterback. You want to surround him with talent. And now you're going to trade the best wide receiver in the league for some unknown asset? Completely ridiculous. So stupid. Oh my gosh, people. Are you kidding me? People are seriously came with this load of bull crap. And I came out and said, shut up. And I meant it. And look who's right. Look who was right on. Yours truly. Also, if they traded for Malik Neighbors, number 5 overall pick, what are the likely, what are the chances the Minnesota Vikings can select J.J. McCarthy at number 10 or number 11? Not very high, because they're going to have to trade multiple first-round picks to get to number 5. So this report by Charlie Walters was completely made up, and it made absolutely zero sense. I mean, I just cannot believe the things that were spewed out and reported. And I'm sure he has his guys. He's been a Pioneer Press writer for a long time, so I'm sure he's got guys. But whoever those guys are, he better find new guys, because those guys ain't trustworthy. My heavens. This take was presented by Hokeland Farm. Contact Jared at 952-491-1541 for the best rotationally grazed 100% grass-fed beef. This beef is sold in quarters and halves, and he also has custom sample packs so you can try before you buy. This is the best beef around, so contact Jared and get 20% off. How much? 20% off your first order by telling him you heard about this on the Minnesota Tim podcast. 952-491-1541. Contact Jared today. That kind of deal doesn't come around often. 20% off for your best beef around.
You kidding me?
No, I'm not. Contact Jared at 952-491-1541 for Hokeland Farm meat. Thank you for watching and listening to this podcast presented by Hokeland Farm. Everyone have a great day. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening, please rate, review, and follow the podcast wherever you're listening to this podcast. Everyone take care, and you have a great day.